الذين قالوا ربنا الله ثم استقاموا تتنزل عليهم الملائكة ألا تخافوا ولا تحزنوا وأبشروا بالجنة التي كنتم توعدون.
بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله صلى الله على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. So today inshallah, we're not going to be doing the normal seerah lesson that we normally do, but I'm actually going to be tackling some of the articles. A recent article came, as a very good article, is by NHS officials told me households are particularly vulnerable to coronavirus. It's important to understand why. Muslim households. So NHS is the Medicare, kind of Medicare what you have over here, which is the Australian hospital services. That's the NHS is the equal of that back in UK. So there's an article that came out by this guy Shadim Hussain, and Shadim Hussain actually spoke about this. I normally don't speak against the academics, but I will actually, speaking against this article, I've got 5 points that I've summarized that I want to speak about. Basically what he's saying in this article, because we live in an extended family system and we have this culture of hugging and kissing and shaking hands and staying together and using the same utensils and whatnot. And he says because of that we're more vulnerable to getting affected by this. Having said that, Muslims are dying at the moment in United Kingdom, and there is a lot of cases which have come about as we speak. I've heard there's close to 10 now who've already passed away in those 200 plus deaths in UK. I don't know if this it's going to work today, because I remember when I was speaking about this coronavirus last week, and I said, I said it was 200 reported cases in Australia. As we speak, it's over 1,000 today. That's a big hike. That's 800 plus in just 7 days. Today's the 7th day. Yeah, so let's quickly, without making assumptions, it's 1,098 cases now and 7 dead. And Italy is at the moment is completely annihilated by this virus. As we speak, they've got 4,825 deaths, which is past the Chinese death rate. So China's only reported close to 4,000 deaths, not even 4,000. They've said it's 3,261. This website's called Infographics channelnewasia.com. So this is where it actually gives you all the news. And at the moment, United Kingdom is also reached in the top 10 countries. It's 233 deaths and 5,018 cases reported. And only 19 have recovered. And there's 5,000. It's amazing. China said 81,000 were affected and 61,644 have recovered. That's a large number of recoveries over there. So China's seeing a downturn at the moment. But anyways, let's get into this article. So this article is actually putting a lot of responsibility on the Muslim community. And sometimes the government officials, no matter if they be Muslims, they do that. And when they do it, it puts a lot of burden on our community to defend ourselves. So basically what it says, utensils, side dishes, many Muslim social intimacy like shaking hands, hugs are so hardwired in their behavior that the week-old invention of social distancing is both alien and absurd to them. This is what the article says. So I actually want to say, as some of the non-Muslims, social distancing may feel very, logical, and feel very normal. We have to also understand, it's more in their behavior. If you see touching the cheeks and the way they hug, we normally just pick the Muslims. I mean, if you look at the corporate environment, if you worked in a corporate environment, you see kissing on the cheeks and hugging your colleague and shaking hands is just the norm as well. I mean, just putting a responsibility on Muslims, and being a Muslim who's writing an article is, I think, is very disproportionate and putting more responsibility. Now, it also says during Friday prayers, the close proximity of worshippers making the spread of coronavirus is near certainty. So they need to understand, and now there's a fatwa being passed by some of the imams and everything. If you've actually been on social media, you've probably seen in Parramatta Masjid, they actually put a gap of 1 meter between the sufuf. I don't know if you guys have seen it. In Parramatta, they put lines where people were standing, so the next person would stand half a meter or 1 meter apart. And so it didn't look like they were standing in sufuf, but there were gaps in them. So do look up Parramatta Mosque and you'll see those pictures they've posted. And also some of the masjids which are practicing salah, they've got social distancing, which they're already practicing. Also, this article says this leaves many minorities whose English is not to the level or proficient enough to fully understand medical terminologies like quarantine and pandemic, reliant on foreign social media. I mean, this is just an insult to the second or third generation British people. And being a second generation myself, I mean, I can tell you we understand these words quite simply, without saying anything. I mean, we do understand these words, quarantine and pandemic. I mean, this is something which has been going around. Even if you went to a non-English-speaking country, they would understand these words, pandemic or epidemic. I mean, you can use either of these words. A ban on gathering more than 100 people is essential. A ban on Muslim funerals. Have never been to one with the fewer of 300 attendees. I mean, this man lives in La La Land. You'd be lucky to have 300 attendees in a funeral. So, I mean, I've been to many funerals, and having 100, you'd be lucky. I mean, if it was a Friday prayers, that's a different story. But if it wasn't a Friday, it's very hard to have these attendees like that. So also the Imam Council, the British Muslim Council, BMC, put these instructions out. So if Mr. Shadim Hussain, if he's listening to me, because that's going to be on the media, so you can probably listen, it's going to be online. We were speaking about this last week in coronavirus. And we spoke about the burial. So, very good document, National Burial Council, which is the British Muslim Society Council, BMC. They put this, it's like a leaflet, and they've put this out. It's a circular. So they've said what you need to do at the time of death, what should be done, advisable precautions of infection control, using PPE gloves, water-resistant gowns, plastic aprons over water-repellent gowns, and surgical masks. So they've said what to do. Even if there is the risk of splashes and things like that, you're wearing protective goggles and the likes. Precautions in the dead body care handling. I recount from my last week's thing, the doctors have said the body would not carry the virus once a person's dead, but the fluids coming from the body would carry that infection. So while you're washing, so you need to have all these infection gear there. And also they've gone so far, they've even said Once the body is transported, wipe down the stretcher and inside the section of the van with 1 in 4 diluted household bleaching, mixing 1 part with 5.2.5% bleach with 4 parts of water and allow the air to dry. So Mr. Shazim Hussain, if you're listening, that the Muslims do not have the proper guidance when it comes to funeral and other things, maybe you should get your hand on this paper and read it carefully. I mean, Muslims are really, you should not be Muslim. No one should be putting Muslims down. Muslims are working with the people, they are taking guidelines, and they are doing whatever they can. Okay, you can't just say Muslims are someone who are backward and things like that. You'd be amazed, and Fareed will be the watch for me over here, that the majority of the Muslim population that lives in UK is comprised of Pakistanis, Indians and Bangladeshis, which makes 70% plus Muslim population. And so I'm not saying that we're the best, but what we're saying is everyone together, not just the Pakistanis and the Indians and the others, everyone as a Muslim community came together and will put this document for even a layman to look at and to extract whatever they can. So preparing the bodies for funeral, again, the goggles and the gowns and the mask and the eye shields and everything's part of that. Shrouding, again, placing the body in the coffin, in the casket, and close the lid as normal when you're transporting the body. Even the Imam Council said, if possible, the janazah prayer should be observed at the cemetery. So they're saying, do it at the cemetery. Do it at the graveyard. Don't wait. Don't take it to the masjid. Take the body over there. So I think ANIC could also benefit from this document. And if they're listening, and probably they are, because I've already spoken to some of the members, and so they can benefit from this. And the National Burial Council is an umbrella organization, a Muslim organization in the UK, and NBC are leading discussions on behalf of the organization with the government and Public Health England. If you want to see this document's changed over 14 days, at least 5 times. So if you go to bmc.co.uk, you'll see over there that they have taken the new publication out. This is the latest publication. I will leave it for you guys to have a look, and later on you can have a look. So Shazim Hussain, as I said, he undermined the Muslims. Being a Muslim, he undermined the Muslims by saying Muslim households are particularly vulnerable to coronavirus. If you look at those 200 plus cases, we're only 10 people that have passed away. And again, that's the norm, which we are saying, which is the large number of people, which is over 60. Now, UK Muslim bodies prepare for, there is another article in Arab News which speaks about how the Muslim bodies, actually NHS announced 10 further deaths of patients who tested positive. Actually, right now the fatalities of Muslims is 21 in UK. So this is the current article. Speaking about Australia, as I said, it's 1,098. Be careful. From tomorrow, you might see all closure to all masjids. Because today, this is the message I was discussing with Fareed. The government came out just today. So Gladys Berejiklian just made an announcement tonight. I'll be informing National Cabinet that New South Wales will proceed with more comprehensive shutdown of non-essential services. So they might put a curfew on a large number of gatherings. At the moment we're okay, it's 100 indoors and it's outdoors 500, but that would come down as well. Schools will open tomorrow. Unfortunately, Abdullah have to go to school tomorrow, and also Shihab. Though I will have more to say on this issue in the morning. So in the morning, you might find, Abdullah, holidays are coming your way. Being in a public school, there's more bad news, because unless Mr. Morrison says there's no holidays. So you need to wait for Mr. Morrison. In the private schools, for us, it's the principal who makes the decision. For you, it's Mr. Morrison or Gladys. At the moment, Gladys is not very glad with what's happening around her. So as you can see, her statement's not very gladdening as well. But in the current climate, someone sent me this message. It's a very derogatory message to the Muslims. but it's funny, so I'm going to share with you. You need a very good sense of humor to understand this. And it actually came from the Rasul, from Ahmed, the guy who's the president of the Rasul Masjid. You've probably already seen it if you're on the group. So this is what it says. Breaking news. ISIS suicide bomber kills himself and 78 other family members after the call was made that he has to work from home. I don't know if you got that. So the suicide bomber had to work from home. So he was working from home, and in that process he killed himself and 78 other family members. So this just came out right now. So I mean, all these messages are going out. But this is what I wanted to say. Now I want to go to these hardcore messages that are coming. I wish WhatsApp had coronavirus, so we might stop some people sending these fatwas around. I got this fatwa from the family channel. No one else. This is my own family sending me this fatwa. Now listen to this. We want to make a small request to all the men in around us. Our request is that on the 22nd March, which is today, is it today? Today is the 22nd, right?
Today.
Yeah, so on the 22nd March, when it's a no moon day, if just at the time of Maghrib, each one of you could give azan aloud in the house, you all can keep a reminder of the same. We all know the power of azan, so that with each house we'll send out the azan in the universe aloud, which will raise the vibration of the planet. And I'm saying this because I have studied different healing models and how to raise our vibrations to be in alignment with the universe. So please keep in reminder, and let's ward off the evil with the power of azan given to us by Prophet. Also, please circulate this message to as many Muslims possible. People who are living in other time zones can follow it as per time. So then my brother-in-law says, is this authentic? And I say, BS thanks. And then he's like, what does BS mean? And then he puts B and S, and I'm like, yeah, that's it. That's what I meant. So basically, I want to read an ayah of Quran to you guys. وَمَا يَعْلَمُ جُنُودَ رَبِّكَ إِلَّا بِهِ. And we do not know the army of Allah, the armies of Allah. Allah can do anything at any time. Allah can send the armies of mosquitoes, little insects, for Nimrud, who said he was God. Allah can send lice. Allah can send frogs. Allah can send, floods, and Allah can send, the lights, the signs which were sent to Musa alayhi salam, and all that. For Allah, nothing is impossible. And when people say that we have to do these adhan, this is just putting more, a burden on people. We don't have to worry. The angels are surrounding the universe, and they're praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala we can't even get to their praise. They praise every second. We'll get tired if we start doing that. So please avoid these messages. And like I said, I wish WhatsApp had coronavirus, so we could stop these messages coming to us. And there's a lot of other messages that are coming, and we just have to be. And this is the time to connect to Allah. Now, there's other messages as well. People are saying that the day of judgment's come. There's no tawaf happening in Kaaba at the moment. I actually thought, you know what, I'm going to share with my listeners some of the other times when tawaf did not happen. Did you know that I actually found 40 times tawaf did not happen? I'm going to share some with you today, inshallah. And they're using these hadith of the likes. They say, لا تقوم الساعة حتى لا يحج البيت. So that there will be the sign, the hour will not come until there be no one doing tawaf or establishing hajj in the Bayt of Allah, which is Bayt al-Haram. And so what they do, they say, oh, these Muslims are weak now, they're not praying, they're not scared of Allah, they're scared of these virus. Did you know what? True story, and actually true headline, not story even, from the Telegram. The Telegram's another paper of UK. It says, people in Malaysia gathered to defy this virus. And what they did, I think this guy's...
That's isolation on steroids. Quotes.
I think he's trying to get in. Maybe someone has to move the car. Maybe it's me, I guess. I'm not sure. He's going to come in and let us know. Thank you so much. So basically, so basically what I'm saying is there are other places and they come out, they say, oh, these Al Saud, they're sellouts, they've stopped the tawaf, they've done this, and then you get this another WhatsApp image that Allah, they stop people from doing tawaf, so pigeons are doing tawaf, the birds are doing tawaf. Let me tell these guys, Allah does not need the birds to do tawaf. If people are giving them food next to the Kaaba, they're going to come and start doing tawaf. Why? Because they're doing tawaf for the food. They're not really doing tawaf. And they actually don't have to do tawaf. If you're going to drop bread over there and breadcrumbs and the likes over there, they're going to come and start doing tawaf. So all these images, what they do, they undermine the Muslim authority. So now let's look at some of the times where tawaf was actually stopped. And did you know that tawaf is only stopped in the Mataf area? Mataf's the area where the Kaaba is, but on the top they haven't stopped anything. These are the places where Jum'ahs are happening. Jum'ah happened over there. If you guys don't know, last week Jum'ah, just 2 days ago, Jum'ah happened. Jum'ah was as short as 4 minutes, and the Salah was really shortened as well. They read Qul a'udhu bi rabbil falaq and Qul a'udhu bi rabbin nas, and that's the guideline to actually shorten the the Salah in these times. So all these things are happening. I mean, we should not be listening to these fatwas and all these other things which are happening around us. So now, Muslims, 251, Hajj was completely stopped. This is 251 Hijri. Hajj was completely stopped. And then in 317 Hijri, the Karamita war happened. And this was Abu Tahir al-Sulaimani. And what they did, the war happened and there was no Hajj in that time. What they did, they took the Hajar Aswad out and they stole it. And there was no Hajar Aswad for 22 years. These Karamita, they actually took the Hajar Aswad. And so in 372, Iraq was banned from Hajj, and there was an Abbasid Khalifa at that time, and they banned Iraq completely. All people come from Iraq, they could not come for Hajj. In 428, all Egyptians were banned to come from Hajj. In 655, Mecca and Medina, the people of Hijaz, were banned by the Khalifa of that time to attend Hajj. In 814, again, Mecca and Hijaz, they were plagued. 8,000 people died because of a plague that happened in that time, and Masjid Haram was completely shut down. Completely shut down. So brothers and sisters, do not think this is a sign of Allah or these are some hikmahs of Allah, these are there. We haven't even seen Mahdi. We haven't even seen Dajjal, and people are talking about the Day of Judgment. I mean, we still have to see a lot of signs for the Day of Judgment to happen. So then in 1246, poor Indians again, the poor Indian Hajis, they carried some virus with them. And they came to Hajj. And this virus, they said it was cholera. If you guys know cholera, cholera is a virus which leads to diarrhea, and it comes from water particularly. So what it does is diarrhea and then bleeding in your stool, and also leading to vomiting, and it leads for a person to die. So 1246, Indian Hujjaj, when they were coming, they came to Hajj and they infected 1/3 of the Hujjaj over there. 1/3 of the Hujjaj died. And it's documented, you can do your own research, 1246. Now, coming very closer, 1850 and 1865, again, cholera virus spread again in the water, and it was caused, and a lot of Hujjaj died. And 1864, the virus spread in the time of Umrah, a lot of people died. They had to, in the time of Hajj, they had to stop Arafat because people were dying in Arafat and the bodies were lying even up to Mina. Mina and Arafat has a good distance. I mean, it's about 15 to 20 kilometers. And those bodies lying everywhere. And then coming now, 1895, there was a typhoid that hit Mina again, and they had to stop the proceedings of Mina, and there was no Mina in 1895 as well. 1979, Kaaba was attacked. It was a Tuesday morning, 20th of November. Abdullah as-Subayl was the Imam at that time. He had finished the Fajr Salah, and as soon as he finished the Fajr Salah, Abdullah al-Qahtani and Juhayman, that these were the two guys who said we are the Mahdis, and they hijacked the Kaaba and they closed the doors. And Maqam Ibrahim is where they started taking the bayas from the Hujjaj who had come for the Hajj. It was a Hajj season, and they started taking the bayas for them. So 32 ulama council met, and they agreed that we can use reasonable force, because in the Kaaba, in the ayahs of Quran, it says, do not wage war in the sacred places. But then when they came together, they said, we have to take these people out. And this was a suspension of 17, on the 7th of, so it was a suspension of 17 days of service inside the Haram. And the guy in Pakistan was called in to help to rescue. And some of you will be amazed, the commander-in-chief at that time was one of the presidents of Pakistan, Musharraf Pervez. He was actually the commander-in-chief of that operation in 1979. And he came, and his analogy was to throw water, flood the Mataf area, and then electrocute that area. And so that will restrict those people to move freely. And so they stormed in, and 75 rebels died inside this commotion. And on the 7th of December, Haram was open again. So, and there was a very close one. I'll tell you, this is another one. In 1887, cholera again. This was a wabah that spread again inside. It's 1987. 10,000 Hujjaj died and Haram was closed. People were coming for Hajj. This is just before Hajj. 10,000 people actually died, not at the time of Hajj, but 1987 because of cholera. 10,000 people. When we say Hujjaj are the people even going for Umrah as well. So you need to understand, we need to all understand, these things have happened in the past as well. Maybe we may have not seen them, and so it's something new for us. And then you've got these WhatsApp ulamas. Before you had Sheikh Google Ibn Yahoo, now you got this another Sheikh come WhatsApp. And so they keep on sending you these messages, or their judgments coming, brothers, give azan from your houses with your loud voice. I tell you, brother, no one needs to give any azan with their loud voices at the time of Maghrib. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as I said, وَمَا يَعْلَمُ جُنُودَ رَبِّكَ إِلَّا بِهِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has the armies that we don't even know. And the angels, one of these armies. I mean, just to, imagine, when Allah sent, the lice in their bodies of Fir'aun, and they were infested with those lice. And then they came to Musa and they said, cure us. We asked for forgiveness. And when they asked for forgiveness, they went back on their way. Then Allah sent frogs to them. Frogs. It's like a natural habitat thing for Australians. I mean, it lives in your backyard. Frogs. Does no harm. But what was there? It became difficult for them. They opened their pots, frogs were in there. Anywhere they went, there were frogs in there. So it became difficult for them. And then Allah tested them with nature. What was the nature? Nature for them was water. It turned into blood. And that was the last of the signs. So for Allah, I mean, all these, and did you know that I was listening to Dr. Smith, one of the most virologists from UK. And when I was listening to him, I was very amazed. He said, on a ruler where it says 1 millimeter, actually close to 1,000, I might be wrong. I mean, this is, you can actually look him up, virologist Dr. Smith. I think he said 10,000 or 1,000. I think it was 10,000. He said 10,000 these coronaviruses can live together in that 1 millimeter. Just that 1 millimeter in the ruler. And he said, we haven't learned. He said, SARS, when it came, where did it come from? He said, it came from China. It wasn't being racist, but he's saying it came from China. And again, see, these white people, they need, and when I say white people, I mean the Westerners. So I'm going to clarify it. I mean, these white people, they don't understand. They need reason for everything. You know, they need reason for everything. That's how they work. For example, if this virus has come, they need a reason why it's come. So Dr. Smith's saying it came from bats back then as well. That was, he said, 14 years ago. It's not far away. In 2006, there was an outbreak as well. It's a pandemic. Not as bad as what we see today, but the Asian region was really badly affected. So then he said, we haven't learned, it comes from the animal markets. Scientists are saying this, these black markets where you put all these different wild animals together, this is where you've got chances for cross-contamination. This is what science says. And as I said, science needs all these references in order to satisfy themselves. What we say, anything comes from Allah. Anything. You know, for example, if you ask an atheist, and this was a very good question someone asked the other day, if you ask him, do you believe in coronavirus? He says, yeah, I believe in coronavirus. So have you seen coronavirus? He's going to say, no, I haven't seen it. But I've seen the impact of it. And then if we ask him, well, you've seen the impact of coronavirus and you believe in that, have you seen the impact of God in your life and you still don't believe in God? God's impacting your life on a daily basis. And you still don't believe in God, but you believe in this coronavirus. Why? Because it's kept you in the house. So now, the other things I wanted to speak about today was hoarding. And coming back to what Fareed said, now he's going to say I was picking on him. I actually already had it in my say before you, but before, no reason, nothing to pick on you. See, I live in Australia. Although I've been living here for 13 years, but I get all my news still from UK. And still very close to home as well. So I call it home. So basically, at the moment, very similar to what we have over here today. You've seen these Muslim supermarkets. Now what they're doing, they're hiking the prices. They're taking advantage of people. If you buy stuff from there, you've probably seen it yourself as well. For example, my mother-in-law went to get some stuff the other day from the butcher shop, and she said everything was $2 high from the normal time. And if you ask them, they say it's a shortage. But I mean, that shortage from the supplier is not going to raise prices. I mean, very, very hard to understand that. But basically what happens is, well, these people start raising the prices and they start hurting us as a community. And what happens is, I want to, through this camera, I want to advise you guys, if you are raising prices and taking advantage of these vulnerable Muslims who are coming to you, understand you will be making a lot of money, but Allah will take the barakah away from you. There's no barakah in this money. And I want an advice for you guys. I want to give an advice to you guys. Don't go to these guys. Don't go to them. And guess what? Report them. You know, New South Wales has set up a line. I'm saying it on the camera. I mean, I don't care about these businessmen. If they're going to take advantage of these vulnerable old people, me and you probably were not going to be hurt that much. Allah has given us enough avenues. We might even pay $2 more. You've got these pensioners, Muslims, who go to these shops. I mean, they want to buy meat and other grocery items. They'll be hurt. For them, $2 is a lot of money. I mean, now, for me and you, well, probably $2 not a very big amount. But for them, if they add up, there's going to be $15 or $20 maybe they'll be sacrificing on something. You know what? I say on the camera, report them. There's a line where you can actually report. In New South Wales, they've set up a line where anyone who's trying to hoard, or anyone who's trying to charge, or anyone's trying to black market anything, to report these guys. I tell you, I give you a fatwa to report these Muslims. And don't buy from them. And that's why, because of this dishonesty that we have, we are all suffering as a community. We should not be, people should not be like that. You know, I tell these shopkeepers, if you were to help the community now, maybe you'll be making probably a less profit, but Allah will put barakah in that money. Allah will realize what you were doing. And also Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, أوفوا الكيل ولا تكونوا من المخسرين. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, give the full measure. You know, give the full measure. And do not cause harm. And do not cause khasara. Khasara meaning like they do not disadvantage others with that. So this is very, very simple instruction that Quran is giving us. And also Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, whoever hoards food has certainly erred. Like he has gone into error. Whoever strives to increase the cost of Muslim, any product, will find his place in the center of fire. These are the hadiths I'm giving you out. And also another place, to cheat the easygoing customer constitutes illicit gain. What it means that you're now getting interest. That's riba for you. So what you're doing to cheat the easygoing customer, the ones who just come to you. If you're cheating someone, that's actually now riba. You're actually now falling into the realm of interest. And now basically what I want to give you in the last 20 minutes, I want to actually give you a Jum'ah advice. I want to give you a fatwa now. And this is a fatwa that's come out from Sheikh Muhammad Salah. Sheikh Muhammad Salah is a very, very prolific speaker. Although I was looking into the books of fiqh myself, and I derived some ruling before Sheikh Muhammad Salah actually said it. Now he said it, so he's endorsed it. So if I say it, I'm just a normal student of knowledge. I mean, that's why, you know, the ulama are special people. And so now he said it. Basically what, in your case, Farid, you're very lucky. You have two sons who are grown-ups. And if the case comes of lockdown, you can pray Jum'ah in your house. So you become the imam and you put your two sons at the back. And that's it. And you're still keeping the Jum'ah alive. And I say this and I spread this message, whoever will be listening to me, there'll be people who've been asking me about Jum'ah. So don't sacrifice Jum'ah, pray it in your houses. Situation has come. I will inshallah give you some references now. I have gathered a lot of references. I'm going to speak about one plague as well. I'll speak about some quarantine coming. But I wanted to give you this Jum'ah advice. So also my advice is to the masajis, even if the mosques go on lockdown, Imam and the Muazzin and the cleaners go into those masjids. Don't leave those masjids barren. Pray Jum'ah. Imam, go over there with the Muazzin and the cleaners, one or two people, just lead Jum'ah. And that's why when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, you know, when the time of Jum'ah comes, then leave everything and then come for the Friday prayers. فَاسْعَوْا إِلَى ذِكْرِ اللَّهِ فَاسْعَوْا. Fas'aw is the word, it's a plural. In Arabic, there are three kinds of, when it comes to, you know, the numbers, it's wahid, which is one, and then you've got tasniya. Tasniya means two, dual, and jama, which actually means three or more. So when Allah says fas'aw, it means is'aw. The word is is'aw. Is'aw, what it means is three or more. So basically, when you are, and I'm giving you proof from the Quran now, when you are in that situation, don't pray Dhuhr in your house. We are in that pandemic situation. You with your cousins, your family, if you guys gather together for Jum'ah, there's a fatwa for you there, how you can do Jum'ah. Now you want to know how to do Jum'ah? Jum'ah is very easy, 3 minutes. I'll give you Jum'ah now, and I'm happy because you're on my WhatsApp is not, inshallah, does not get coronavirus, and every other false WhatsApps, you know, they get infected, but I will send you on my thing that how to work with you know, the Jum'ah. Very easy, don't have to be alim or anything. Stand up, one person gives the adhan, after that إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونعوذ بك من شرور أنفسنا, or بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. Just say that and give a message, read the Quran, ayah from the Quran, simple ayah, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu ittaqullaha haqqa tuqatih wa la tamutunna illa wa antum muslimun. So basically you're just saying to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, just saying, oh Allah, we fear Allah, bring an ayah of fearing Allah. And right now is a time for plague. You know, there's so many ayahs. You don't even have to read it in Arabic. I mean, bring it in English. After you say that, sit down. Sit down, and when you sit down, after that you stand up again praise Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Allahumma salli wa sallim ala sayyidina Muhammad, and then you make dua. Now this is the time, that 1 minute you have, oh Allah, protect our families, oh Allah, protect the Muslim ummah, oh Allah, take us out of this epidemic, oh Allah, oh Allah, oh Allah, you know, oh Allah, make it easy for me, oh Allah, you know, I have been sinning, oh Allah, open my eyes so I can tread on the path of Islam. And you know, just make dua in your own language. After that, iqamah with one of the sons, and you lead the prayer. 2 rak'ah, that's it. You have done the obligation of Jum'ah in 4 minutes. Again, if it's a case of family, that's easy. But now let's say it's a neighborhood. All right, you've got a big lounge room. Someone's got a big lounge room, let's say. If you know those people, and you know no one's come out from overseas just very recently, and you also know that you know there's no little children there, or there's no older people, it's okay. Just get into someone's hall, even if it's 5 or 10 people, choose one person, make him the imam, and do the Friday prayer. It's an obligation. You know, today when masajid's fine, and no exaggeration, we leave the masajid. Why? Because we follow some imam and he's leading the prayers in a warehouse, and we follow that imam and we go pray Jummah in the warehouse. Now is a time where it's a time of difficulty. And even though the government we are not, you know, overriding the authority. We're just practicing our rights with a smaller group of people as we can in the community. I mean, right now I am very blessed. I live in a community in Riverston, in the Muslim streets over there, and there's only Muslims in those regions. And even in one street, there's only Muslims all over. There's no other person. That street is Riverbray. Riverbray Street only has Muslim houses over there. If they're all gathered, they also actually gather to pray Isha every day. They gather and they pray in the house. There's about 8-9 people. They gather in one house and they pray Isha. So I mean, those people, they're doing Jummah in the house, and they're gathering on a daily basis. They have been in contact with each other. So there is no problem with that. So that's my fatwa there for you guys, not to avoid Jum'ah. Things will change, brothers and sisters. It will change. Coming Monday or Tuesday, good news for the kids, their schools will close, but it will change. It will change a lot. My advice to you, if you have the means, if Allah has given you the money, and if you are the ones who are not going to suffer with this epidemic, with this closure, help the needy around you. Even if it's not a Muslim, doesn't matter. Put a note, put a good note outside your houses. We have been blessed by God, and if there is any need, if we can help you with any essentials, we'll be more than happy to drop it in front of your house. A bottle of milk or bread or any essential. By giving that, we're only doing dawah. This is the time to do dawah. Do dawah with your actions, not with your words. When you start doing this dawah, people start coming and flocking to this religion. People start, you know, they'll start coming. Now I want to summarize very quickly. I just want to say, I actually want to start with this word. I'll put a little point over here. The correctness of opinion has got nothing to do with piety. What do I mean by that? Often people put opinions and decisions out there, and that can be the most correct decisions for that time. But someone might be very religious and he might say something, but his opinion might be the worst opinion. So if someone's giving the right opinion, it doesn't mean that he's really pious. Well, Allah can give opinions from anyone. For example, I want to give you why I said this. If you guys know, there was a plague, a pandemic in the time of the Sahaba, and that was Amawas or Imawas or Imwas or other names for that place. It's a region in Palestine. And so this is where the Byzantines were. and Byzantine actually, or Muslims were going with an expedition to fight them. Umar ibn Khattab was on that expedition as well. So when they got to this, I'll summarize the story, we don't have much time. This story you can hear from a lot of speakers are saying this story online. So you can actually hear from a lot of other speakers. So, cut the story short, there were the first people. Umar wanted advice because he heard there is a plague in there. So wanted an advice. He said if we go in there we might be infected. So he called the best of the people, the Muhajirun. And the Muhajirun were not decided. Some said no, some said yes. Then he called the Ansar, the second best people. They were again not decided. Then he called the other people, and these were the Mashiachatu Quraysh. So these are the older people of Quraysh, and these were the people who became Muslims after Fatah Makkah. So Mashaikh or Mashiach actually means the older ones. So the older ones of the Quraysh, and he started asking them. When he asked them, they all said, don't go in. And they unanimously said, don't go in. And Umar took their decision and he decided to go. And this is where the Abu Ubaida's amazing statement comes. And Abu Ubaidah says this, oh Umar, are you running away from the qadr of Allah? Are you scared? Like, you know, today's zealots, the young ones, or the pubs are open, or the nightclubs are open, we're closing the masjids. Are we running away from the qadr of Allah? You know, we become like that. We're not saying Abu Ubaidah is like that, but Abu Ubaidah is a really Ashrat Mubashirun, the 10 promised one. And he's saying that. And Umar ibn Khattab did not like him. Umar ibn Khattab, I wish someone else said that. I take you in high regards. And he said, would you, if you were grazing your sheep, would you take them to a barren land to graze, or would you take them to a green land to graze? He said, right now the situation is like that. And right now they didn't know the hadith. This is all opinions going around. Abdurrahman ibn Auf comes and he gives the hadith. If you are going to a land of plague, then do not go in there. If you're coming and running away from that land, then do not run from that. So that was a quarantine process that was being given to us 1400 years ago. And even the one who gave this quarantine process did not even see a plague. That's Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He narrated this hadith even when there was no plague in his time. That's a miracle in itself, which should make us more convicted to be a Muslim today. So, and then after that, the story goes on later on. Abu Ubaidah ibn Jarrah becomes a general. He doesn't leave that place. He's holding on the ranks. Umar ibn Khattab leaves with the other people, and then Abu Ubaidah dies in that place. He makes Mu'adh ibn Jabal another leader, and he also dies in that place. All these two Sahabis were great Sahabis. Don't get me wrong, they were like elite Sahabis. But then came Amr ibn al-As. Amr ibn al-As became Muslim after Sulh al-Hudaybiyah. This is like 5-6 years after. And he is also a great Sahabi, don't get me wrong, but not as elite as Mu'adh ibn Jabal and Abu Ubaidah ibn Jarrah. Amr ibn al-As was a statesman. He was like a smart man. How many of you know that from the seerah we've been learning, who did Quraysh send to bring the Muslims back from Najashi? It was Amr ibn al-As. He was the one who actually went there to bring them back. And when he became the leader, so when they were dying, they were making the other leaders. So Abu Ubaidah died, he made Mu'adh the leader, Mu'adh died, and he made Amr ibn al-As the leader. Amr ibn al-As said, this is an infectious disease. It spreads, it's contagious. So what we need to do is we need to spread in groups. You go in groups and everyone go in the mountain and spread out. Don't stay together. Because if we stay together, we're going to die. 25,000 people died. Elite Sahabas also died. Other people at that time, the Tabi'een and everyone died in that plague. Amr ibn al-As's decision was a special decision. It saved lives, and Amr ibn al-As actually lived as well. Now, what does that mean? It does not mean piety all the time will make you make correct opinions. Some people have great opinions. They may not be pious, which is like the government at the moment. The government's not praying tahajjud. Let's get this right. They don't even worship Allah. But they've got, you know, they have a mission at the moment and they're working with, they've got a narrative. Their narrative is to keep people away, isolation. Why are they doing this? Because they learnt it from the Chinese. And the Chinese tried quarantine when they cut Hubei, the whole province, out of the mainstream China. They cut the whole province out. Whoever was in there, couldn't come out. And that's what they did with the Wuhan city. And now, as I said to you, 61,000 people have been cured in China, according to their own graphs. They've already said that. And so they're learning from that. They know this is a contagious disease. You know why a lot of people died in Italy? They've also passed China. Why? Because they've got a big number of population of older people. Europe's got an older people. And let me tell you also on this point, you know, we've got these young zealots. They come out, they say, oh, the masjids and all these other things. Today, let's be honest, come on, you know, brothers and sisters, how many people, young people come to masjid? You see the first rows are filled with old people. You know, this is really contagious. You know why I told you for a precautionary measure, bring your sajada? Because when you go down in the sujood, these, you know, anything that spit or whatever comes out of your mouth and lays on the carpet, if you go on that, you'll be infected. Everyone's different. Do you know, I've been talking to my friends who are doctors in UK. They've said right now, the way we're dealing with the situation is like it's unprecedented. He said we've only got 5,000 ICU beds in the whole UK. 5,000 beds. In UK, it's over 5,000 people who have been infected at the moment. And he said, how do we deal with these cases? It's like, he said, imagine there were 25 people lying in a battlefield and they were all on the verge of dying. You're going to choose the most fittest one and you're going to operate them. And the other 24, you're going to say, I'm sorry, I can't do anything for you. So exactly, it's like that. So when the old people get hit, they tell them, we can't help you, just go home and pray to God. Because we're going to save the fittest, because that fittest will live and he will have more chance of living. That's how that is why in Europe it's a total chaos. Right now we haven't reached that. That's why the government's taking extreme measures. And as we are all hearing, Northern Territory and Western Australia has cut borders with all parts of Australia already. They are not going to allow anyone to enter Western Australia or Northern Territory, no matter if you're a citizen or not. You cannot go there now. Even if you had any business, you're going through a plane or anything, they've cut everything from other states. They've already taken their measures. So, you know, it is like that. So understand, people who are giving opinion, they have studied it, they know what they're talking about. A lot of time, Imam Council doesn't know what they are talking about. There's no doctors, Imams are not doctors, understand that. So we need to take their advice and we need to work on their advice. So, you know, people become very zealous. These young people have been calling me Sheikh. In my own school, I mean, a really good colleague, a young person, you know, the pubs are operating, Sheikh, we're not going for Salah, we're not doing this. What kind of Muslims are we now? You know, we're proactive Muslims. We're taking measures. We want to prevent lives. Now I want to very quickly, in the last 5 minutes I have, and then I'm going to open it for questions. I want to give you some plagues which happened in the past as well. Understand the correctness of Iman has got nothing to do with the correctness of opinion. That's why I've been, you know, really stressing on that. People who are making decisions at the moment, they have, they've looked at the, you know, the opinions of others and they've worked. And sometimes we may not be, and these young people who are talking about all these masajid being closed, they don't even come to the masjids. You hardly see them, and they're sitting on the keyboards, the masjids are closed, imams are going, and I was giving you an example of Malaysia. There's a pilgrim happens, Tablighi Jamaat or kind of that, and they said, we are scared of Allah, we're not scared of coronavirus. 8,000 people gathered. It said 1/3 of the community was infected. When they went back, they took virus with them. That's called stupidity. That's got nothing to do with scaring of coronavirus or anything. It's called craziness. When Allah tells you, you know, there is a maxim of fiqh, al-mushaqqatu tajlibu at-taysir. When worship becomes hard, anything becomes hard, this is a maxim of fiqh. Allah brings ease. For example, when you're traveling, salah becomes half. anything. Al-mushaqqatu tajlibu taysir. So anything which is mushaqqa, which is hardship, it brings an ease with that. When you're sick, you cannot fast. It brings an ease. So now it's that virus. Allah is bringing an ease for us. Stay at home. Pray inside the house. So it may be our last lecture today, but I'm not going to keep my viewers stranded. We're going to have a Zoom session, if that's the case. And be in your own houses. Put it on the speakers and listen to me. We're going to continue. I'm going to give you advices every now and then. You're on my, as I said, pray only my WhatsApp channel does not get coronavirus apart from many other ones. I will send you the Zoom invites through that, and you can actually do it on your phone. You can see me. I've already set up my studio already. I'm all ready to go. I'll be doing that. I was prepared for this. I was preparing myself. Now, very quickly, when he said this, Amr ibn al-As, there was one Sahabi over there, name's not mentioned. He said, you are wrong and you are fearing this virus exactly like the zealots of today. And my donkey, when you were misguided, my donkey was guided in those days, and you're telling us to do this action of quarantine. And Amr ibn al-As did not say anything. These are the smart leaders. What did he say? He said, if you want to obey, you obey. If you don't want to, I've got nothing against you. And people obeyed. And Umar was very happy with his decision. And he later on took the expedition, being the leader. He took the Muslim army up to Egypt, and he became the governor of Egypt. And so there you go. There's smart people make smart decisions. So now very quickly, if you read any tafsir books, I won't tell you, I gave you the reasons about Kaaba being closing down and all the other things. Now I'm going to give you masjids being closing down as well. So Tariq al-Tabari mentions, and other history books also mention this. In 218, there was a plague that came in Egypt. And this plague also went all the way to Azerbaijan. And there was all the mosques that were closed at that time, and people were dying. There were governors died, leaders died, army officials died, and the cloth had run out to cover the bodies. That's how many bodies were laid. But now at that time, Muslims were being reactive because they didn't have knowledge of medical. Now we've got medical knowledge. That's why we're taking precautionary measures. And so, and also, this is one of my favorite books, Alam al-Zahabi, Sir Alam al-Nubula. You can actually look into that as well in the 18th volume. He mentions there was a plague in Andalus and Egypt until masjids were completely shut down. Explicitly mentioned there was nothing happening, no azan, nothing. There's only one masjid in the biggest town that would give azan, and then you probably heard that Sallu fi buyutikum, then pray in your houses. Those is added, so you don't say hayya ala salah, you don't say hayya ala falah. When that part comes there, Muazzin says Sallu fi buyutikum, pray in your own dwellings. That's what they said. And so also, there's also mentioned Black Death, which was in the 8th century of the Muslims, which is the Hijri calendar, and the 14th century, which is about 600 years ago from now. And that was, and Al-Maqrizi mentions in the book called As-Suluk, and he says, this is around 749, that azan completely even stopped from the masajid during that time, and only one azan was given from the majority of the masajid were closed, and all masjids were completely shut down. So this is not a new phenomenon. Don't go after these people who are out there and mashallah giving all these fatwas, masjids are closed and pubs are open. Tell them good on these people. I mean, their pubs are open. We don't have to worry about these pubs and nightclubs. If these people are going, we ask Allah to keep everyone safe and secure, but they'll be the ones who will be infected. We're the ones who are taking the precaution. So, and also, this is another book, it's Ibn Hajar. Now look at this. This is also Yasir Qadi actually mentioned about this Ibn Hajar in the reign of Sultan Ashraf. He was a Mamluk, and it says Bazl al-Ma'un fi Fadl al-Ta'un. So basically, in the time, it's like an encyclopedia, over 400 pages, and it's available. You can actually download it in Arabic. Actually, before Yasir Qadi, there is from my own university where I graduated, Hamad ibn Khalifa University in Qatar, the lecturer of philosophy, he extracted this from the book Bazl al-Ma'un fi Fadl al-Ta'un. He mentions it, and also it's an Al Jazeera paper in the Arabic. He mentions this book, and he said it's a great encyclopedia. His name is Mu'tas al-Khatib, and he mentions there's a whole article he writes. It's in Arabic. If you know Arabic, if you can read it, it completely breaks it down. What was the fiqh of the plague at that time? So Ibn Hajar, lost his 3 daughters. And look at the good people. They use this negative energy to provide positivity to the crowd. So what did he do? He utilized this energies. So what he channeled his grief, and he wrote this encyclopedia. And in that encyclopedia, he mentions everything, what was happening in that time. And also, he also says azab. Now, understand this, and I'll finish off very quickly. He says, ta'un is an azab for everyone, but it's a rahmah for the believer. What did he say? Ta'un is an azab for everyone. So everyone could be a Muslim as well. The one who says lip service Muslim, I'm a Muslim, could be an azab for him. But he says it's a rahmah for the believer. The believer is the one who worships Allah, who is mindful of Allah. He says it's a rahmah for those people. In his book, he mentioned that. That's a hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam as well. And also, fleeing from the plague to another land, when we mentioned that, he mentions, Ibn Hajar says, fleeing from to another land is not derogatory in all cases. It's like if you were fleeing to save your life, I'm going to be saved if I run away. That is a problem. That's now what you're doing is against what Sharia wants you to do. But if a need comes where you have to go see a doctor for ilaj, or for medical advice, or to save someone, a family member or anyone like that, that's not fleeing. Now you've got zarura there, you've got a need over there, and then you're going from that place to another place. He says that is not a problem at all. And also, as I said, I can, in my Zoom session, I will actually put it together, and I will speak about this in more detail. But very quickly, we need to understand, we have this warped mentality of tawakkul today. Tawakkul means to rely upon Allah completely, but at the same time doing your homework. Now I want to give you an example of tawakkul. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the best of the mutawakkilin, the master of tawakkul. When he fought in the battle, he wore coat of armor, and he also wore a helmet. Was he scared? No, he wasn't. He was relying and taking all precautionary measures, and then he was fighting. So we have to take all these precautionary measures. Allah has given us a time, maybe make your house masajids. Have a dedicated room where you're going to be praying in Jama'ah with your family. And as I said, with the Jum'ah, I've already given you the fiqh. When I upload it on my channel, share it with other people. Tell them they can pray Jum'ah. 3 people you need, 2 at the back and 1 giving the khutbah. I've already given you the khutbah, how you can say the khutbah. Shorten, that's it. Shorten salah. And also some people, giving willy-nilly advice, and just rubbish advice, willy-nilly, meaning by that. Also understand, right now we have 1,000 people that are infected. There might be even 10,000 people that are infected. We don't know if people have been tested or not. When more tests will be happening, the numbers will keep on rapidly increasing, because someone would just be carrying this virus and he would not even know until he gets the symptoms. Me and you, anyone, God forbid, will be carrying it, but we don't even know until we get the symptom. So also, don't just say it's a flu. Brother, it's not a flu. We've understood. For 10,000 people don't die around the world of flu, and half the population of Earth does not get infected because of the flu. Alright, I'm just going to close it there. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين برحمتك أرحم الراحمين. So I'm going to take questions very quickly. If you've got any questions, we'll take questions for 5 minutes. If not, we'll just go into Salah, inshallah.